So this is part 2 of chapter 18, viruses and viral waste matter. And we left off at public restrooms. And I'm pretty proud of myself. Like, I tend to not really stick with things very long. This is how much I've read of the book so far. And this is how much I have left. Pretty good, honestly, yeah. It's been nice, and it's actually, I've been reading this thoroughly because I'm going so slow. So for me, I'm not really a reader. Like, it can't just be like anything. It needs to be factual, like knowledge-based, I think. I can't just like read something fiction. That would drive me nuts. Anyway, I'm just proud of myself. So public restrooms. People have to realize there are bodily fluids left on the toilet seats. Those bodily fluids can contain varieties of streptococcus, strep, many strains of which are antibiotic resistant. That was in quotes, by the way. E. coli, staphylococcus, which is staph, herpes simplex 1 and 2, EBV, shingles, HHV6, cytomegalovirus, and human papillovirus, HPV. That means these bugs can be on the toilet seat surfaces and usually are. Covering toilet seats is critical. Flopping down straight onto a public toilet seat is not a wise practice. I would never, ever. I don't even sit on my friends' toilets. I don't even sit on my parents'. I be hovering. I'm a hardcore hoverer. I always hover. Always. Literally always. Even sometimes my own, because it's so habitual. Then there's the toilet water in the bowl. Even if the toilet was flushed, a toilet's never truly flushed. There's always invisible leftover material floating around the toilet water, and as you go to the bathroom, splashes from the water can pop up back into you. It's very easy to get infected in restrooms because when you're going to the bathroom, you're exposed. For example, when someone is having a bowel movement, their rectum doesn't immediately close as their fecal matter, is it how you say that? Fecal? Fascial? I don't know. I don't call it that. Torpedoes into the water. It's very easy for the water to splash up and enter into the rectum as it's still closing. Before you poo, it's best to place a sheet or two of toilet paper on the surface of the water to mitigate splash. To protect yourself further, it's important to flush a public toilet before you even use it. If it has a lid, put the lid down before flushing. Otherwise, try to turn away or back away when it's flushing. The mist can project outward with viruses or bacteria in it. Many people won't use enough toilet paper to wipe. They use a few tiny sheets, perhaps in the name of saving trees, or if they're in the habit of using less to save money, or they just miss the target. They end up with a handful of feces. Oh my God. That hand will then flush the toilet if it's not automated. Then the hand will touch the soap dispenser and then sink handles, leaving behind more fecal particles. And then after they wash their hands, they'll touch the dirty handle again to shut off the sink. And this is why I don't wash my hands if I have to use a public bathroom, which is very rare because I seriously will go outside because I believe and now know it's cleaner that way, and it's more natural. To my knowledge, we're the only animal on planet Earth to even use a fucking bathroom. Everyone else goes outside. I don't know. To me, it's just weird already. Humans are notorious for being very sick, having a lot of disease. I don't want to be around that. So I be using outside. Like, I don't even care. And that's a hot take. I don't wash my hands in public bathrooms. I don't. I'll walk straight the fuck out and I'll wash, like, I'm not against washing my hands, and I'm not saying I don't do anything. What I am saying, like, I will bring my own soap, or like at where I work, I'll bring my own soap, and I have like a routine so I'm not touching a goddamn thing. And then I'll also have like my hand sanitizer that I'll use. And I don't even care. Some people will look at me like, oh my God, you're not washing your hands. And I'm like, I'm looking at you the same way. Like, you're touching the sink, you're touching the toilet, you're sitting on the toilet, and you're looking at me like I'm gross? That's weird. Anyway. Then the hand, okay. Even if their own hands are clean, they're touching handles the other people have touched. Those other people could have touched their eyes, blown their nose, or just touched their face while applying makeup in the bathroom mirror. Then as everyone exits the bathroom, they're touching the spot on the door everyone else has put their hands on. Hand sanitizer does not stop all the hand-body exposures. It's a noble idea, partially helpful sometimes, and yet hand sanitizer is random in its ability to kill pathogens. Are they talking about the hand sanitizer dispenser thing? I feel like he's maybe talking about that. Now, I'm not to say, like, I believe my hand sanitizer is the cleanest thing ever. I just don't believe that skipping all that. I believe skipping the sink and the toilet and all that nonsense for hand sanitizer is less pathogenic. We have to be careful about how we use public facilities and stay mindful that pathogen transmission is common in restrooms. Sharing food and drink and dining out. Be mindful of sharing food and drink. You're also sharing saliva and sometimes even microscopic blood particles. Sometimes we share food and drink knowingly, as when we eat off the same plate or drink out of the same bottle or glass. Sometimes we share with other people unknowingly. Restaurants do not usually clean their glasses properly. There tends to be residue on all the glasses. Lipstick residue, for example, tends to hold on to pathogens on glasses. Lipstick encapsulates pathogens, keeping the bugs sustained on glasses for days. Many men have extremely sticky saliva because men often go around chronically dehydrated, eating protein-heavy diets, and proteins are extremely sticky foods. Higher protein diets tend to make saliva very, very gluey. Men's saliva can sit on glasses for a week after multiple washings. Forks in restaurants, just like forks at home, create small injuries in the mouth. The steel of fork is also porous. Metal forks stick into the person's gums, dislodging tiny bits of plaque and gum bacteria, compressing it into the pores of the fork. So the pores in silverware get clogged up with cells from the inside of people's mouths, including micro amounts of blood. Forks in restaurants can be biohazards. They're not sterilized as if you were at a dentist's office where a sterilized tool goes into your mouth. Instead, eating with bar or restaurant silverware is like going to a dental office where they take all their dental tools and wash them by hand and throw them in a common dishwasher that may not even be high heat, because most dishwashers do not get hot enough to kill pathogens. Before putting them into the mouth of the next patient, that's why I say the utensils in restaurants can be biohazards, potentially spreading every pathogen and disease. And for years I've said that busy chefs and busy restaurants often cut their hands and fingers daily, which is Russian roulette for transmitting any kind of pathogen. Here are some tips if you have to eat out. This is another thing. I don't share like food or drink with anybody, not even my mom. I do with Tenzin. So I guess I should say I do with Tenzin, my wife, because we're on the same journey together and we have the same symptom we're like the same because we've been eating exactly the same for like 4 years, with extremely minor differences. Like it might be like how much. Oh my God. Why did they do that? Bro, I thought, okay. Although I'm really grossed out by if my friends eat at our house, which happens often, I'm really grossed out by them using my forks or something. So I was thinking about having like a drawer for like my friends use them and then drawer for mine, because I'm like disgusted. Like seriously, I'm like, no. Probably because I know too much. Not to say I know too much, but I'm aware. And I'm not trying to be one of those like crazy clean freaks that's like scared of everything now, but I am like, it's easy things that I can switch to, like having my own cutlery. I don't know, however you say that. Anyway, bring alcohol wipes and wipe your fork and other utensils, or ask for a mug of scalding hot water, like for tea, and place your utensils in that. Alternatively, bring your own utensils or order food that doesn't require utensils and eat with your hands, as long as your hands are clean. Ask for your food to come very hot. If the chef cuts his finger while preparing your meal, the heat of the food and the plate is a great way to kill viruses that may be in that blood. Ask for beverages that come in bottles that haven't been opened to avoid drinking out of glasses. Wipe off the top and neck of the bottle with an alcohol wipe before drinking, as your lips may slip past the part of the bottle that has been under the cap and onto the area where the server was touching the bottle as they carried it. If bottles aren't an option, ask for a can, in which case try to wipe down the rim and pour area of the can before opening. If you're forced to drink out of a glass, ask for a wrapped straw and bring your own straw. If you can, bring your own cup or glass. Dental visits. The dentist's office is another place where pathogens get transferred. Often dentists, hygienists, and assistants will put on their gloves and then start touching everything with their gloves. They're touching the handles of the light, adjusting them, and also touching chairs, controls, computer keyboards. In the end, their latex or nitrile gloves are only protecting the practitioner, not protecting the patient. Yes, they put on a new pair of gloves between patients, yet the surfaces they're touching with those new gloves may have saliva, blood, and mouth tissue cells on them, and those surfaces have often not been sterilized between patients. That's how pathogens can get transmitted. To avoid this situation, bring your own disinfecting wipes to the dentist and ask them to wipe down high-touch spots, such as controls, buttons, and handles, that they think they're going to use during your procedure, and ask them to put on fresh gloves afterwards. You can't be afraid to ask your dentist for better sanitary steps to be taken. Well, that was annoying. It just like cut me off, so I'm back. If people learn to request this, it will become more common practice. More viral exposure tips. We've covered many of the basics of viral transmission, such as intimate contact and group restrooms, and tips for how to protect yourself. Another basic tip is to practice good hygiene, like hand washing when you've been in public space. And in chapter 22, bacteria and other microbes, you'll read about why it's worth taking care with shopping cart handles. It's also important to stay aware when handling objects we've just bought into our homes. Packages can be a huge source of transmission for flu, COVID, MRSA, and strep, especially when you're setting down packages at your cutting board or kitchen counter. Placing a new package in a crib or on a bed or couch, or rubbing your eyes fixing eye makeup or moving your hair constantly while in the middle of opening package. Wash your hands after handling packages. Find a designated area for your packages that isn't a high exposure spot in your home. If you are not in a rush to open a package, let it sit before opening. A practice I call decanting the package, because packages can have people's mucus, saliva, traces of fecal matter, skin flakes, or any other bodily fluid contaminant. This is a worthwhile protection. If you give a package 3 to 5 days to decant in your designated area, there would be a lesser chance of being exposed. Beyond all the awareness about exposure sources, you can limit the damage a virus can do by making your body an inhospitable place for viruses. How? You can limit the other brain betrayers in your life. You can incorporate the healing foods and cleanses from later in this book to remove toxins that serve as viral fuel from your brain and body. Even medical medium cleanse is antiviral. You can even try the protocols in the supplement gospel section of Brain Saver Protocols, Cleanses, and Recipes to provide your immune system with the best possible support for your health situation. And it ends with a quote, "There's a greater truth underneath it all. There are answers to why people feel the way they do." Anthony Williams, Medical Medium.